Hi everyone, welcome. Today we're going to be talking about how to use your video for advocacy and what is an advocacy video.
Hello, I'm Mike Hill.
And I'm Sue Collins, and this is the Moonshine Moonshot series.
Great. Well, advocacy, what is it? I had to actually look it up to refresh on what it actually means, even though we use videos for advocacy all the time. So just as a refresher, advocacy means public support or a recommendation for a particular cause or policy. And video is very helpful in achieving that goal.
Yeah, absolutely. So an advocacy video can be anything from 1 minute to, well, it could even be 30 seconds, but it could also be a full feature film. So we've used any and every duration I can think of. We've done video series, we've done one-off feature films, we've done feature films with massive amounts of micro content sitting around it. So we've also done videos that are only 1 minute for Instagram. So it's really all about who you're trying to talk to, what your issue or cause is, and how you want to share that info.
Yeah, that's right. Essentially, it makes the case for a cause or a particular policy direction, either a policy that is to be adopted or has been adopted. And video is just such a great way of carrying those messages because it shows the human side. So often, policy can become about a headline or one particular angle. And I think video gives the nuance of what's the human experience. How is this going to make an impact to people's lives through a cause or a policy change?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think sometimes people might think of advocacy videos and get a bit, and think, Greenpeace, it's really, quite an extreme thing. You've got to be showing something really dramatic and in a really, I don't want to say heavy-handed, but, a really strong way. But advocacy videos don't have to be like that at all.
No, and I think when I first heard the term advocacy, it was about 10 years ago in the US, and I think it's a more common term there, but this move towards advocacy and really needing to make your case to governments, decision makers, it's a global trend, and it's something that's not going away. I think it's really important for any cause or anyone trying to make a change that they're really considering the methods of communication and how they can most strongly and convincingly make their case. And I think we should give an example of when we've, used video for this type of advocacy effort.
Yeah, well, one of our projects comes to mind, Take Heart.
Okay.
We made a lot of videos for Take Heart of all different durations.
And what's the issue?
The issue of that one is rheumatic heart disease, which is a deadly disease that's 100% preventable. And in Australia, it affects our Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander communities and pretty exclusively to those communities. So it's a real health equity issue. And the advocacy around that really needed to reach quite a different range of people, everyone from politicians who can create policy change, also communities themselves and understand what they can do to empower themselves to stay safe from the disease, and also the broader community, the broader public, to make them aware of that this is even going on. So there was a whole lot of different strategies, but I think perhaps...
And to your first point about duration, I mean, there was a vast range of durations. We started off focused on making a 1 hour TV special, but we ended up with over 100 outputs, which included things that were very short, including TV commercials at 30 seconds, to films that were in first languages, Aboriginal languages, to a whole raft of other advocacy and educational films. But I think the one that springs to my mind was the one we used at Parliament House before an advocacy event hosted by Snow Foundation and NACHO, which is the peak body for Indigenous health in Australia.
Yeah, and that is a really good example from that project, because one of the videos we created specifically for that event was like a curtain raiser. It ran at the very start. So the event itself was at Parliament House, and it was bringing together a lot of the key, what we call stakeholders, so a lot of the really important people who needed to be engaged in order to get some real change happening on a policy level. So that ran, it was quite short from memory.
I think it was 2 minutes, and it included key voices of people who are affected by this issue, and it was powerful. We might show you a clip of it so you can kind of see some of the imagery and some of the commentary that was used in that.
We are here today at the beginning of the end, and we need you to make that happen. Our shared vision is that no child born in Australia from this day forward should die of rheumatic heart disease.
Eliminating rheumatic heart disease for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people is achievable, just like it was in the 50s for non-Aboriginal people like myself.
I find it a very challenging area and at times very frustrating. Why is it frustrating? To me, because it's preventable.
I think because it was used at the start of that advocacy event as a curtain raiser, it really set the tone for what happened after.
Yeah, that's right, and it really helped to give everyone a real sense of who the people who are really being impacted by this disease were as well. It gave voice to people who couldn't actually be in the room for, a variety of reasons, location, travel ability, all of those sorts of complications around getting to a particular event. So it also helped to ensure that the right people had the right voice.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and I mean, it was a great representation of people from very remote communities telling their stories live.
Yeah.
But emboldened by what had happened through the video, and 2 videos were actually shown.
Yep.
That curtain raiser was more about the problem, and then later in the event there was a second video which was more focused on the solution and the amazing work that was taking place. There were leading ministers from both sides, both leading parties in Australia, and many other representatives of civil society and stakeholder groups. So many of those got to speak live. And what was really heartening for me at the end of that advocacy event was because of the vibe of the thing, the 2 ministers from both sides of politics, which is quite rare in Australia, came together to say we are bipartisan, we are both supporting this issue, and things need to change. So there was no politics. All of the usual politics were sort of set aside. And after they made those speeches, they also fronted the media and made the same commitments. And that became a flashpoint for change around that issue.
Yeah, which was really heartening to see. So the videos themselves were only part of that event, but they were a really important part of the event for, as you said, to raise the issues, set the tone, and then also present the solution later on.
Yeah, I think they tugged on the heartstrings quite a bit, and they made an emotional impact, which is not always that easy to do through a series of speeches. Although people speak beautifully, there's just something about film and video that really helps, and with the addition of music and amazing visuals, that really helps pack that emotional punch that you need for advocacy.
That's right. And then the other thing with those videos is they weren't exclusive to that event. So we were able to use those in press releases. We could direct people to them for other media that was going on around that event that day. And obviously they can go on YouTube and Facebook and all your other social media platforms to share them with a much broader audience. So an advocacy video can be super targeted to a very specific audience, or it can be a much broader, more general type of communication.
Oh, okay, great. And you're our wise sage when it comes to social media and versioning. So can you tell us a little bit about other uses for an advocacy video like this? Where else could it be used?
Yeah, a few things that come to mind are I don't know if they're going to fit Star Wars. I'm not sure you can advocate. Well, I guess you could be advocating for people to go and see Star Wars. And Yoda is a wise sage. Is that where we're coming from here? Completely lost my train of thought. So how to use advocacy videos in different platforms. So perhaps you could think about, is your audience on Facebook? You would maybe tailor a message that's going to be much more suited to a community for sharing. Is it going to be on Instagram? Then you probably want it to be quite visual. Or is it going to be on LinkedIn? And then you're talking to a much more professional audience, and you're probably going to wrap a lot more written content around the video. I always recommend you put them on YouTube. It's just the best option for sharing. You can use them on your website that way. Really easy to send links to people. You might want to, believe it or not, DVDs actually can be really useful useful, or you could put the video on a USB to send it out to people. Particularly overseas, a lot of countries are still using DVD, so you might find that's a really good way to share it with politicians and various stakeholders that will actually accept a DVD. Does that clarify that question?
And I think events, events other than advocacy events that engage your community.
Yep.
In your email signature, you could
Yep.
use them. In your email, newsletters.
Yep.
I think this becomes a key asset in your communications toolbox. This advocacy film
and
really
also,
helps to advance the cause.
If you're fundraising around your cause, if it's a fundraising activity, the video is so powerful. If you have a really strong, engaging video, you're going to get way better increase in your donations than if you've just got written content.
Right on. Well, I hope that helps to explain what advocacy videos are, what advocacy is, and how they can be really useful in getting real change in the world, making change.
So if you've got questions or want to know more, we certainly have a lot more to share, but we'd like to know what you want to know about, so please leave us comments or get in touch through our social media platforms, and we would be very happy to talk through any of your questions.
May the force be with you.
See you next time.